This video explains the concept and thought processes behind DualShooter, a university project I did in my first year. So what made the game ideas come flowing in? The assignment brief. The assignment brief asked for a one-button game with a young demographic, so it couldn't include blood, for example. It had to be a game that could transition well to mobile. The absence of a true Star Fox game for a long time on Nintendo consoles made me want to create a space game. Space games are also good for a young demographic because they don't feature red blood, which heavily impacts the age rating. I had a lot of initial concepts as to how a one-button game might control. One concept was to have a character constantly fall and use the key to go upwards instead. This came as the earliest concept of DualShooter. The game also allowed you to boost by holding the button. This screenshot is the only material I have left of DualShooter in an early stage. The game was originally an auto-scrolling 2D shooter, however it didn't feel original enough. You could also hold the button to boost in the game. So I went back to the drawing board and thought of how this Gradius-like game could be innovated in. I started to think like this for most classic games such as Pac-Man and Pong. However, I wanted to keep the space theme, so I thought about Space Invaders. Maybe I could control the player by automatically moving them and just shoot. Whilst this was an innovation, all it did was hinder the player. It would be a lot more fun if they had more buttons. So I continued to think about what might mix up Space Invaders. Maybe I could flip it on its side and have the player shoot from the side. Then if the enemies were travelling down, what would they be shooting at? So I decided to add in the mothership. But then there is no way of stopping the enemy's shots because the mothership can't avoid them like a player can. So perhaps the enemies just don't shoot. Maybe they just crash into the mothership. Or what's to stop the player from shooting in the same place to kill all the enemies? Sure, I could slow the bullets down, but once there's a constant stream, it's easy. So perhaps not all enemies can be hurt this way. But I have limited buttons, I can't trigger other attacks. So I decided to make it so enemies could only be attacked from one side, and the user would have to flip sides by holding the up button. The game later added power-ups and random events such as bosses and meteor strikes. I thought I'd share the thought process behind this game to fully explain how the design went for me and how your first idea, in this case, the auto-scroll game, can be scrapped in order to innovate later on. If there are any other games of mine that you'd like to see me explain, please let me know. Thanks for watching.